Hey, what's up, guys? It is Meg Games GX here, and we're going to be doing another post-info replay. This time we have with Branded, of course. If you guys want to see other decks, though, with me recording and, like, commentating over it, let me know down in the description below in the comments. I really would appreciate your guys' feedback. It's always important into factoring what kind of content I end up making. So, anyways, we're having here Christian, Master of Logic, goated with the sauce, testing partner, on Branded Despia and very good player on Brandon too. And we have Lakarov here on Fiendsmith, Plunder Patroll. This is obviously post info with the Fiendsmith card, so I wanted to get because it was an interesting deck, and I want to show you guys how Brandon can kind of interact with decks that maybe have other kind of Fiendsmith. So we do see Brandon go first. They get Brandon opening, and then we see Quem into the Aluber, into well, obviously we can go then Bestial Lubellion. I feel like a draw definitely hurts here. We do see the nib there because Plunder start off with Booty, Lurie, Nibiru, the Field Spell, and Golden Hair, which is not the strongest hand because these are kind of bricks, but the Nibiru might get him there. Golden Hair is not bad though, plus the Field Spell. So we'll see what gets into him into it because he can obviously go Fiendsmith Engine from here. But then we banish the Mercurier in hand, which is pretty cool to off the Bestial Sarnier to then get a search of and then we get to now tribute off the Sarnier for Lubellion, and then get the Branded Lost, and then we can trigger Sarnier as well. I think he did that a little bit late. Send the Retribution. Then we can go Albion, send the Branded Fusion, then chain Branded High Spirits, because you can obviously do that. You can chain Branded High Spirits to Albion, and then send the Albion, so you send the Dark Dragon. You can send Albion and Albion. Search another Cartesia, and then go Cartesia effect since we have an Albaz in the graveyard, and then go Branded Fusion and no Ash, obviously, but we are under loss, so I mean it's gonna protect us for right now, and we're gonna likely be able to summon a Nibiru or get a Mercurier from deck off the Lost. So this Nibiru is not gonna be doing much, but we do search the Mercurier and the Luber off the Tragedy, and then fuse back the Shroud Dragon in the graveyard for the Mirror Jade, and then go Cartesia, Guignol, then Quem 2 to get the Cartesia, and already used Lost, and then he's gonna send the Puppet here with no Titanclad, but we do see the Nibiru. Then the Mercurier is goaded with the Sauce. He probably would have been able to play through the Nibiru, though. Nibiru is typically not something that really hurts Branded, because if you, no matter where you nib on Branded, it's most likely not going to do much, because if they have the Guignol, they just float through it. They have to do it on a very specific part, like when Cartesia uses her effect, then nib. That's pretty good usually. So maybe he misplayed on that. But also here he had, the Mercurier definitely didn't help the situation. Set the Brand Red off the Albion, and then get Cartesia back to hand as discard fodder. So we see Plunder Patrol going first. They draw Whitebeard, D-Barrier, Despia Fiend, Redbeard, and Golden Hair, and Branded drew Droplet, Quem, Branded Sword, Albion the Shroud Dragon, Droplet. So it's not the best hand from Branded, but this is a pretty good hand from, honestly, the Plunder Patrol player, because the Despia Fiend is this new card that you can discard one card, declare one attribute except for War, special summon this card from your hand to either field, then this card becomes that attribute until the end of the turn. So this gives you a free attribute, which is really big for the deck. And if you special summon this card to your opponent's field, you can special summon one level 4 or lower fiend monster with original attribute other than the one declared from a hand or graveyard. And then you get Fiend Lock. So it has a pretty big lock with the Fiend Lock, honestly, considering that, yes, these are all fiends, but it does lock you out of some of your ships. So it's definitely going to be interesting to see how good it is. So we'll probably see him lead with that if I had to guess. Yeah, he leads with Despia Fiend because that will give him a new attribute. He calls Light, which then he can go Redbeard effect. Then normal summon the Whitebeard, then link off for probably, oh no, he's gonna synchro off for the Plunder Patrol ship Yord, which allows him to extend, and then he can go Golden Hair effect, or then he is going to go Whitebeard effect to special the Golden Hair from deck, and then you can go Yord effect then to search out a Whitebeard, and then he's going to use Jord effect to scale itself in order to call dark and give him a dark token. And then he's going to link off with the Blackbeard, and Blackbeard effect is going to spec out the lease, which is then obviously a it's a negate and destroy, which is really good. Also, you can add a Plunder Patrol, so it's very good. He's drawing also. He gets an Ash, summons out the Blackbeard, and then sets a card, which is D-Barrier. So we don't see the Fiendsmith engine this game. Hopefully we see it next game. But we see the Despia Fiend on our field, so, you know, it would turn off any cross-up, but also this gives us just, like, droplet fodder, and the Desires, depending on what it is, could really help. But obviously this Ash Blossom might fuck that up, but we'll see a droplet come down, negating the 2 Plunder Patrol's effects. And then we can see Desires. We'll see if that gets Ash here. It does get Ash, which is pretty understandable on 3 cards. You're putting him on Better Habit. Then we can go Guiding Quem effects, send the Branded Retribution, and then he'll be able to go Shrouded Dragon, get the Branded Fusion. I mean, that makes sense since he has D-Barrier, and now he just has a single Branded Fusion line, and then that gets D-Barriered. And he can go Quem attack into the Captain. He takes 700, and then he sets Eclipse Droplet, which is pretty good. But then we see the Tractus, which the Tractus is really good, but we do see that Book of Eclipse, which might actually help out a lot. Then we see the Lurie get discarded, Lurie special summon. Now, I wonder if Logic goes Book here, because he might want to just to link, but then obviously Yord. That would just stop the Fiendsmith line, so I feel like that was probably a misplay on the Eclipse. But obviously he's waiting, or yeah, because there's nothing to revive with Quem, so that's probably why I would have done. He can't probably kill him with just this, but, you know, because he does have the droplet, but, you know, he lets him go into the combo. Obviously, the droplet, or you can just droplet whatever the Fiendsmiths bring out, to be fair. Oh, so then he goes Book of Eclipse on the Fiendsmith plus Lease, which is interesting. Flips the Lease. I wonder if it was a better play to do on the Lurie, but then he's going to go Golden Hair effect pitching the Whitebeard in order to get the Plunder Patrol Golden Hair onto the field, and then Whitebeard is going to spec from Bluebeard. Whitebeard just being an insane extender, honestly, from the graveyard, being an E-Telly, and then he's going to go off. Synchro off into the Brawn, which gives all of his other fiends 500 attack, and then you can discard 1 Plunder Patrol, and then Plunder Patrol card, and then target 1 spell or trap your opponent controls, banish it. Then add 1 Plunder Patrol. That's pretty good. So he's going to attack, or do it on the back row. He won't chain droplet. That makes sense. Searches a Plunder. Then we see Sea Guide get the Helm. And then Sea Guide's going to special summon. And that's going to get us into the Link of the Blackbeard. And then Battle Phase happens. Attacks over with Quem, since Blackbeard's at its full 16 now. Also plus 500 from Braum, which is pretty good. And then he uses Blackbeard effect to equip to Elise from the extra deck, and then draws a Solemn Judgment, which is just crazy, honestly. And puts Logic on basically this board's impossible to out. So Aluber will then negate. Yep, and we'll get game 3. All right, so now we have game 3. The Plunder Patrol going to be going second with the Despia Fiend, Bluebeard, Whitebeard, Ghost Mortar, and Ash. Ghost Mortar and Ash is pretty good, though. But we do see the brand player with Cartesia opening red, and duplication. So brand player should, by all means, be able to play through this. We see main phase, normal summon Cartesia. Then we chain opening, which is a pretty standard play, even though it uses your normal. It lets you dodge the Imperm on the Aluber. He does go Mourner on the Aluber, though, and chains Cartesia, which is interesting. I would have probably saved that, if I'm being honest. That seems like a misplay, a big misplay, to be honest. Because if you have to only do that if you have like an Imperm or a Veiler to put on top of the Mourner, or like an Ogre. So we see the Grand Guignol get used to send the Titanclad, which will get us into the Quem in the end phase, and then Branded Fusion gets activated, which does get Ash, but this would have, to be fair, this would have been a turn skip. To be fair, this would have been a turn skip. I mean, this does get us Titanclad in the end phase, which is pretty good still, all things considered, with duplication. And we had red anyway, but if we didn't have duplication, it's definitely looking a lot worse. Duplication just lets you play through so much, and we set the red, we go Titanclad in the end phase, get the Quems and the Albaz, presumably. Or maybe the, yeah. Oh no, we get High Spirits here, because that gets us a discard. That makes sense. And then the Cartesia. And then we see draw phase duplication, which is interesting, because that's not something you because he can just gimmick lock and draw phase, and sends, yeah, that's just the typical thing. Just send the Albaz, send the gimmick puppet. As long as you have a light spellcaster on field or in graveyard, by the time that Lubellion discards, you'll be able to gimmick lock. So you spin back the Albaz, you spin back the cart, and then get the the Quem, and then get the Sanctifier Dragon, targeting the Luber, targeting the gimmick puppet. And we special summon the Gimmick Puppet to our opponent's side of the field, and that looks like about game right there. I'm not sure if Plunder can play through this because he does normal the Whitebeard. We see him set the booty, which declare one attribute, target one, that becomes the attribute. And then you can take one Plunder Patrol from your graveyards, either shuffle or special. That's not terrible, but we don't have any Plunders in the graveyard, so it probably doesn't do a whole lot there. Grand Guignol sends the Albion, Brand Red, get the Albion, and then we're going to be able to go into Kyrie Chimera and pop his field, get the Gimmick Puppet, and then we can get the Cartesian unfazed, and then we can go for oh, he goes Whitebeard, summon out the Lease, and then he has Book of Eclipse, and then, which is pretty good, Book of Eclipse is pretty good here, send the Quem, send the Shrouded. So I guess he did have plays through the Gimmick Puppet, but the brand player just had way too much. We then see a flip of the board, and basically that is the game by logic. So GG's to everybody. It was very fun to watch Plunder Patrol with the new Despia Fiend, and also this does have Fiendsmith cards in it, I promise. Like, I have the list. But they seem pretty good. Like, it gives Plunder the ability to obviously extend super hard and have a second game plan just outside their Plunder cards, which I think is pretty good and valuable. So yeah, guys, if you guys want to see more content like this, make sure to leave a like down below, comment down below what you guys thought, check out the links down below, and with that being said, become a channel member and enjoy the rest of your day. See you guys later.